Hey and welcome on this new video on squares, cubes and roots for the GMAT Quant section. Let's start right in with what we will be covering in this video. First of all, I will show you the general concepts of squares, cubes and roots and everything you need to know for the GMAT Quant section in this regard. And then I will, in the second part of this video, show you two sample questions, including the solutions and how to get to the solutions. So definitely stay tuned to this one. Now, first of all, what do you definitely need to know? You need to know all the squares from 1 to 20 by heart. For example, 1 squared is 1, of course, 2 squared 4, and going on until 20 squared, which is 400. You need to know all of them by heart. And the same goes for cubes from 1 to 10. You should know them by heart just to make life easier in your GMAT Quant exam and that you don't waste any time on calculating this. Second of all, you need to know the concept of perfect squares and perfect cubes. A perfect square is, for example, 25 because it's 5 to the power of 2. So if you take the root of something and it's in an integer, then you know that this figure is a perfect square or a perfect cube. So you need to keep this in mind also. Then you need to know that for the squares and cubes that are bigger than 0 but smaller than 1, you need to know how they behave when they get squared or cubed. Because for numbers larger than 1, they always get bigger. If you square 2, you get 4. If you square 3, you get 9, and so on. The figure always increases. However, for figures between 0 and 1, for example 0.5, once you square them, the number actually gets smaller. So 0.5 squared is 0.25. So definitely keep this in mind. Now, what you also need to know is the squares and cubes of negative numbers. Squaring a negative number will always give you a positive number as a result. When it comes to cubing, it depends if your power is even or odd. Cubing a negative number to an even power will result in a positive number, and cubing a negative number with an odd power will give you still a negative number. So keep this in mind. For example, minus 2 to the power of 3. So a negative number, minus 2 to the power of 3. 3 is odd, therefore it stays negative, minus 8. Lastly, you need to know the roots, but this is just the other way around, so it shouldn't be too big of a problem for you. Now let's check out two exercises. The first one is a cube has a volume of 27 cubic inches. What is the length of one side of the cube in inches? Now I will give you some time to pause the video if you want to solve this question yourself. I will now start with my solution approach. You know how to calculate the volume of a cube. It's the length times the width times the height. And since for a cube all three lengths are the same, because that's the definition of a cube, all three lengths have to be the same, we can say the formula is a to the power of 3 is the size of the cube, the volume of the cube. And if we have a to the power of 3 is 27, then we need to take the third root of 27, and this is 3. You should know this by heart. Therefore, answer choice A is the correct one. Now let's jump to the second question. This is a bit more difficult question. You should solve the following equation. The square root of x plus 9 equals x minus 3. Now you could solve this question just by plugging in the 5 values that are given to you. This is definitely one way to solve it, but I will show you the proper way now. And by the way, the way with just plugging in the numbers also works, but the proper mathematical way I will show you now. The first thing, if you see this, you need to solve it by x. So you have to have x on the left side equals and then ideally a number. And to get this, I mean, the right hand side doesn't really seem to be a problem. It's just x minus 3, seems to be quite straightforward. However, on the left side we have the problem, we have the root here. So how can we get rid of this root? We need to square it, basically. That's how we get rid of this root on the left hand side. So let's do this. If we square it, on the left hand side, the root and the square which will just cancel out. So we will have x plus 9 on the left hand side. On the right hand side, you should see directly that you can use here a binomial formula to solve this, which is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. And in this case it would be x squared minus 2ab, so minus 2 times 3 times x, so minus 6x, and then plus 3 squared, which is 9. So on the left hand side it should be x squared minus 6x plus 9. So this is exactly what we have here using the binomial formula. What do we do now? Just get everything on one side. Here it's easier to just get everything on the right hand side. So we just take minus x, that's basically then minus 7x, and minus 9, so the 9 will just cancel out. Here this is just a step in between. And yeah, let's look what we can do here. As we see, the plus 9 and the minus 9 just cancel out. Minus 6x minus x is minus 7x. So we have x squared minus 7x. This is what we have here. Now, you should know how to solve this equation. You can just multiply x out. So we have x times, and then brackets open, x minus 7, brackets close. And then we see that x equals 1 is one solution and x equals 7 is the other solution to this. Now, since we have squared it here, it does not mean that those two are automatically correct. We first need to plug in those values, so 0 and 7, into our equation and need to check if it actually works out. Now let's do this. If we plug in 7 into this equation, we get the root of 0 plus 9, and that's of course the root of 9, and this is 3. On the right hand side we have 0 minus 3, which is minus 3, so we get 3 equal to minus 3. Of course that's not the correct answer choice. So let's plug in 7, and we see 7 plus 9, and the root of that gives us the root of 16, which is 4, as we know. On the right hand side we have just 7 minus 3, which is 4, so we get 4 equal 4, and that works out perfectly. So thanks for paying attention. Please, if you want to see more videos, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I will upload on other quant topics in the following days, so definitely stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and then see you next time.